Relationships are one of the most profound and complex aspects of human life. They can be a source of joy, growth, and deep connection, but also of pain, confusion, and emotional harm. Navigating relationships requires wisdom, self-awareness, and the ability to recognize signs that may indicate the relationship is not healthy. Carl Gustav Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, offered profound insights into human behavior, the unconscious mind, and the dynamics that shape our interactions with others. Using Jungian psychology, we can better understand not only ourselves, but also the people we allow into our lives. In this context, when a man tells you certain things that seem dismissive or controlling, it is essential to pay close attention, as these phrases might be red flags signaling emotional manipulation or toxicity. One of the most common phrases that can serve as a warning is "you're overreacting." On the surface, this might seem like a casual dismissal of emotions, but from a Jungian perspective, it reflects a deeper invalidation of your inner experience. Jung emphasized the importance of the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves we reject or do not recognize, and how these parts influence our relationships. When a partner tells you you're overreacting, he may be projecting his own discomfort with emotional expression onto you, refusing to acknowledge feelings that challenge his sense of control or stability. This phrase is often used to minimize and silence emotional responses, creating a dynamic where you begin to doubt your perceptions and feelings. Over time, this leads to emotional suppression and a fracturing of your authentic self, as you start to question the validity of your own emotional landscape. Similarly, the phrase "calm down" is frequently used to dismiss emotional expression. From a Jungian viewpoint, emotions are messengers from the unconscious, signaling conflicts or truths that need attention. To tell someone to calm down prematurely shuts down this necessary process of emotional integration, preventing individuation, the psychological process of becoming whole by reconciling conscious and unconscious parts of the psyche. When a man repeatedly tells you to calm down, it is not a call for peace, but a subtle way to control and silence you. This phrase can be a form of emotional gaslighting, where your feelings are delegitimized and you are pressured to conform to the other person's emotional comfort zone, rather than being allowed to fully express yourself. Emotional repression, especially when encouraged by a partner, can have long-term psychological consequences, including anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Another phrase that often surfaces in unhealthy relationships is "you're too sensitive." Sensitivity, far from being a flaw, is a vital human trait that allows for empathy, deep perception, and creative insight. Carl Jung regarded sensitivity as a window into the unconscious, a means of connecting with the symbolic and emotional realms that rational thought alone cannot reach. When a man labels you as too sensitive, it is often a defense mechanism to avoid confronting his own vulnerabilities or emotional limitations. This dismissal can cause you to suppress your natural responsiveness to emotional stimuli, disconnecting you from a vital part of your psyche. Sensitivity should be nurtured and respected within relationships, as it fosters connection and understanding rather than scorned or diminished. Likewise, being told you're being irrational is a phrase that aims to delegitimize your thought process and emotions. Jung warned against privileging rationality at the expense of the unconscious, intuition, and emotional knowledge. Rational thought is only one aspect of the psyche. The whole self requires balance between logic, feelings, and unconscious symbolism. When a partner calls you irrational, he dismisses your subjective experience and may be unwilling or unable to engage with the emotional or intuitive dimensions of your perspective. This can be an attempt to assert dominance and silence your voice in the relationship, preventing authentic communication and mutual understanding. Lastly, the phrase, "you're too emotional," echoes cultural stereotypes that have historically been used to marginalize women's voices and invalidate their experiences. Emotions, according to Jung, are not mere weaknesses, but essential signals from the unconscious mind, guiding us towards psychological balance and self-awareness. Suppressing emotions cuts us off from these important messages, impairing personal growth. When a man repeatedly tells you that you are too emotional, he is encouraging emotional repression and denying the legitimacy of your inner world. This can create a relationship dynamic that stifles your individuality and emotional health. All of these phrases reflect a psychological phenomenon Jung called shadow projection. When a man repeatedly tells you to calm down, it often reveals his discomfort with emotional complexity and vulnerability. From a Jungian perspective, emotions are not obstacles, but crucial signals from the unconscious, guiding us through personal growth and transformation. Suppressing these feelings interrupts the individuation process, the journey to psychological wholeness that involves integrating all aspects of the self, including the shadow. By silencing or dismissing your emotional experiences, he inhibits your ability to engage with your inner world, thus limiting your self-awareness and development. Furthermore, the statement "you're too sensitive" is commonly wielded as a weapon to shame and control. Jung recognized sensitivity as a powerful and valuable trait, enabling deeper empathy, creativity, and connection to the unconscious. Sensitivity allows us to perceive subtleties that others miss and provides a gateway to richer emotional and spiritual experiences. When a man labels you as too sensitive, he often deflects from his own inability or unwillingness to confront difficult emotions. This phrase is a mechanism to silence you and protect his fragile ego. A partner who respects and values your sensitivity is one who encourages your authentic expression and emotional depth, fostering a healthy reciprocal relationship. Accusing someone of being irrational attempts to undermine their perspective by elevating logic as the sole measure of validity. Jung warned against overemphasizing rationality while dismissing the symbolic, emotional, and intuitive facets of the psyche. Human experience is complex and cannot be reduced to purely logical terms. When a man says, "you're being irrational," he invalidates your feelings and intuition, often as a way to dominate the conversation or assert control. This dismissive stance hinders honest communication and mutual understanding, creating an imbalance of power and preventing the relationship from being a safe space for authentic dialogue. The phrase "you're too emotional" carries a long history of cultural bias against women, rooted in patriarchal attempts to delegitimize female experiences. Carl Jung viewed emotions as essential expressions of the unconscious, vital to psychological balance and spiritual insight. Emotions are not signs of weakness, but important messengers guiding us toward greater self-knowledge and integration. When a man tells you that you are too emotional, he seeks to suppress your emotional intelligence and maintain control by denying the validity of your inner life. This attitude fosters an environment where emotional expression is feared and punished rather than welcomed, stunting personal growth and harming the relationship's potential for depth. All these phrases, "you're overreacting," "calm down," "you're too sensitive," "you're being irrational," and "you're too emotional," reflect what Jung described as shadow projection. The shadow consists of the parts of ourselves we reject, deny, or fail to recognize, such as vulnerability, fear, or emotional depth. When a man projects his shadow onto you, he externalizes those disowned traits, accusing you of feelings or behaviors that originate within himself. This process is unconscious but toxic, creating relational patterns where one partner invalidates and suppresses the other's true self. Recognizing these red flags is crucial for psychological empowerment and self-care. Jungian psychology teaches that individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated person, requires embracing both the light and dark aspects of our being. This integration is only possible in relationships where emotional honesty and mutual respect exist. If a man frequently uses these dismissive or controlling phrases, it is likely he is struggling with his own inner conflicts and unwilling to engage authentically. Such dynamics stifle growth and can cause long-term emotional damage. Empowerment comes from setting clear boundaries and honoring your feelings, intuition, and truth. You deserve relationships that support your individuation, where your emotions are validated, your sensitivity embraced, and your voice heard. If you encounter repeated invalidation through these 5 phrases, it may be necessary to re-evaluate the relationship and consider distancing yourself to protect your mental and emotional health. Carl Jung's work reminds us that true wholeness involves embracing our full humanity, including emotions, vulnerabilities, and unconscious material. It is through this acceptance that we grow, heal, and develop deep, meaningful connections with others. When a partner asks you to suppress your emotions or denies your experiences, it is not a relationship that fosters individuation, but one that blocks it. In conclusion, stay vigilant and trust your inner voice. The journey to psychological wholeness is difficult, but profoundly rewarding.